Hello everybody, Argent here, and this is the first video with the new Blue Yeti microphone, so hopefully it sounds good. Give me some feedback on that. So, I know I'm doing a lot of reviews, and I'll probably have a couple more up, but it's Halloween, so I figure I should cover a whole bunch of horror stuff, because it's that time of year, and horror is the reason for the season. So, one of kind of the shows that people always talk about as being the most tragic show that was ever canceled was Firefly, aka Serenity or whatever you want to call it, which was made by Joss Whedon. Um, Basically, Firefly was. Maybe I'll do a review of Firefly. I just don't have a lot to say about it. Basically, it was kind of this show that had a low budget, but it kind of had an interesting cast of characters. It was kind of a bit quirky. It was kind of something a little different. And it was canceled despite having a huge fan base. A movie came out. The movie made a lot of money. The show went nowhere though. Even after Josh Whedon has made billions, hundreds of millions of dollars by directing his shitty Avengers movies, even despite that, he won't restore the show. So that's the show that most people like. The show I look back on and is kind of my Firefly show is Brimstone. No one's probably ever heard of Brimstone before, and it's kind of a damn shame. I remember when this show first aired back in the day. God, that was a long time ago. It was back in 1998 to 99. I forget if I watched it when it was first aired. I think I watched it when it first aired, so I was 10 years old. And I loved the show at the time. My parents and I used to watch together. And it was a great show. It only lasted for 13 episodes. They didn't even get through a single season of it. And it featured the talents of Peter Horton and John Glover, both of whom did a good job. It had a good premise, excellent writing, and it's kind of a damn shame. Kind of a similar series would later come out called The Collector, which kind of has a similar premise, kind of similar humor sort of approach. Collector's a little different though, and maybe I'll talk about that. So we have the plot of whatchamacallit, of Brimstone. So basically, what happened is we have our main character Ezekiel Zeke Stone. People just call him Detective Stone. So he was an NYPD detective. He was the most decorated NYPD detective in New York history. While he wasn't a dirty cop, he was kind of, later on we find out, fairly prolific in falsifying evidence against people he knew were criminals. Like there was one drug dealer who was selling drugs to kids, but he couldn't find definitive evidence on it, so he planted drugs on him and arrested him. It's kind of interesting because later on, when he talks to an angel, the angel says that his action was morally ambiguous because he did that, he saved a family of like 5 from getting hit by the drug dealer when he was driving around like high as a kite. So he did stuff like that. So basically, kind of the setup, which they explain in every intro to an episode, was his wife got raped. He caught the guy who did it. The guy got off. Gilbert Jacks got off by basically bullshitting the court, and he had a lawyer. So Stone got furious. He tracked the guy down and he killed him in a really brutal way. So then 2 months later, Stone was killed, and he went to hell for murdering the rapist. It wasn't that he killed the rapist. That's not really the show. The show doesn't really, I think, say at any point advocate pacifism. The issue was he did something in an extra legal manner, and he took kind of like pleasure from it. I think the angel he talks to later in the series says if you had have just killed him and not like enjoyed it. I think the idea is not even that he enjoyed it because he was doing the right, but he enjoyed it for kind of killing's sake. So 15 years after, so he died, and he gets sent to hell, and he becomes the most decorated cop in NYC history. So it comes back 15 years later. So there is a mass breakout of hell led by a 4,000-year-old Canaanite priest. It's implied that basically her power is love. She has an allure. She can kind of control people by making them love her. Actually, a character in one of my books is kind of one of the main villains is kind of based on her. But yeah, so she engineered a break out of hell. It's implied that she had developed like a romantic relationship with the devil. Although the devil later says the only person he ever loved was God, and that was a long time ago. So 113 of the most evil people in history have escaped from hell. And because they are dead, they can't die again. So much like Detective Stone, they are pretty much immune to normal damage. You can shoot them, you can cut them, you can beat them. It's almost impossible. Stone gets shot a number of times and it doesn't do anything. Um, and the devil says the longer you've been in hell, the more hell becomes part of you. So they've developed kind of super abilities based on however they died. So they all kind of have superpowers. There's one woman who I forget, she died by giving. I think she spit. She was like Typhoid Annie. She infected like a town's water supply. So when she comes back, she like spreads disease at like a hyper rate. There's one woman who's like a succubus. There's a priest who comes back who we'll get into that in a second. So there's just a bunch of different ones from different times and places throughout history. So the only one way he can kill them is by shooting out their eyes. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul, and if you shut those, they get sent back to hell. So every time Detective Stone shoots one of them in the eyes, they get sent back to hell, and that tattoo burns off. So it's kind of implied when he talks to the angel that the reason that Stone was given the task is because he's worthy of redemption and because he's basically an honorable man who made some bad decisions. The devil can trust him to actually do the job. So the idea is if he can track them all down and kill them, he'll get his redemption. Now, does a redemption mean he'll get to go to heaven? Does it mean he'll come back to life? We aren't really sure. His wife is still alive, but she hasn't remarried. And in one episode, they have the guy who raped her is one of the guys who broke out of hell. And he kind of almost develops a relationship with the Canaanite priestess. And I think the last episode is Valentine's Day. And he stops her from killing his wife. So that's kind of the premise of the show. So it's kind of like an ongoing mystery of the week thing. There's some other characters. There's kind of a weird woman who runs the hotel he stays at. There's that. There's a blind Catholic priest who helps him out a lot. And there's some police detectives who are kind of aware of him and what he's doing. But no, it was a really interesting show. Kind of the one of the things that made it though is there's a lot of banter between him and the devil, who's played by John Glover, who's a very charismatic actor. And the devil's always makes jokes, like they get on an elevator, he's like going up, going down, like going down, and the devil like is eating devil food cake at one point, and he just kind of always shows up and taunts him and offers him like half truths and like little hints and stuff. And it was just a really good show. I don't really know what else to say. There's a lot of good banter. It was definitely low budget, but it was kind of sad because you had 13 really good episodes. You had a premise that could go on for another 5 or 6 seasons, depending on how many guys they wanted to kill in episodes. And you had a wide range of people. You had like the girl from the medieval era who was like a succubus. You had a guy who sold the Jews out named the Angel of Mercy in one episode. You had a priest who was trying to bring about the apocalypse by finding 4 children that resemble the 4 living beings and then killing them in sacrifice. You had kind of a not Thelma and Louise, oh God, what are they called? Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, you had like a Bonnie and Clyde couple. You had the Canaanite priestess. You had like this wide variety of stuff, and it was really an interesting show. but yeah, they just they ran out despite people really liking it. I mean, if we go to let's see here, let's go to the IMDb page. Okay, why can't I go to the IMDb page? It has 8.2. I mean, it was a good rated show. Let's look at the episodes. People really like the show. A lot of people. There's been repeated campaigns to bring it back, but it just won't be brought back because that's just kind of the way things are. Fox likes to cancel good shows. I'm not really like salty or bitter about it or anything. Wow, 8.9. I guess it's only 31 views, but people still like it. But yeah, that's the way it is, unfortunately. And I'm not really like I said, I'm not exactly salty about it, but it just wanted to share a memory of a show I really liked as a kid. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.